Hi, it's Summer, and today I'm going to be telling you about all of the cozy fantasy that I have on my TBR. I have a lot of books on this list, so I'm going to try to go through them pretty quickly. I'm not going to give like a full synopsis for all of them. Maybe I'll just try to give like a sentence or like a few buzzwords or something. I also made an entire cozy fantasy shelf on my Goodreads account, so I'll put a link to that in the description in case you want to be able to like easily see all of these and add them to your Goodreads TBR. My first book on this list is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. This one seems to have a little bit more like heavy fantasy elements. It says, but can their blossoming romance survive the fated discovery that their pen pals are their worst nightmares, each other? Next, I have The House Witch. Honestly, it was mainly this cover that made me want to read it. It's a humorous blend of fantasy, romance, and mystery featuring a witch with domestic powers and the royal household that he serves. Next, I have a manga. This is The Savior's Book Cafe Story in Another World, Volume 1. It says, in this charming tale, a woman gets transported to a fantasy world and pursues her own quest, opening a book cafe. Say less, I want to read it. After that, I have Wildwood Dancing by Juliette Marillier, I think is how you say her name. It takes place in Transylvania. It follows 5 daughters and their doting father. Every full moon they can pass through a portal to an enchanted world called the Other Kingdom. After that, I have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. It says it's an enchanting novel about a witch who has a second chance to get her magical powers and her life back on track. There's also something about her befriending a semi-villainous talking fox. And I'm also guessing that this is going to be quirky and probably have a lot of found family, just like Sangu Mandana's other book. Next, I have The Grace of Wild Things by Heather Fawcett. This is actually a middle grade book, and I love Heather Fawcett because she wrote Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which is one of my all-time favorite books. So I mostly just added this to my list because of that. It says that it's an inventive and fantastical reimagining of Anne of Green Gables with magic and witches. This next book couldn't be more different from that one. It's That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon by Kimberly Lemming. It's about a spice trader named Cinnamon, whose quiet life is turned upside down when she ends up on a quest with a fiery demon. It's a quirky rom-com fantasy that is both sweet and steamy. Next, I have The Forgotten Witch by Jessica Dodge. It's about a woman who leaves her lonely, mundane life in the city and goes to Scotland, where a 500-year-old cottage full of secrets and stories awaits her. And there's a local legend of a 16th century witch. After that, I have The Herb Witch's Apprentice by Irene Chow. This one sounds like it's more high fantasy, and it's set in a world where witchcraft is forbidden, and the main character finds out that she's a witch. After that, I have The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brianne Randall. It says this one is for fans of Practical Magic and Gilmore Girls. It's about a woman whose grandmother is diagnosed with cancer, and her first heartbreak returns to town after a decade. So it sounds like it's going to be really sad and also have like a second chance romance element to it. This one is technically on my TBR, but I'm not like really excited to get to it because I know that it's just going to probably rip my heart apart. So I'm gonna have to be like really ready for it whenever I pick it up, but I thought I would still talk about it and add it to the list. After that, I have Welcome to Fae Cafe by Jennifer Croft, I think is how you say their last name. This one sounds pretty ridiculous, but I think it's gonna be fun. It says, on a cozy fall morning, Kate is nestled in a coffee shop in the city of Toronto reading her favorite novel when she accidentally kills a guy who's being rude to the coffee shop's cashier. Unfortunately for Kate, the person that she killed was a Fae assassin. It says it's like Holly Black's tricky folk of the air schemes meeting your grandmother's freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. And I'm ready for it. Next, I have A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic by Jay Penner. The tagline says, a human, a dwarf, and an elf walk into a bake-off. It says, while competing, the main character will set off on a journey of mouth-watering pastries, self-discovery, heartwarming friendships, and a romance. After that, I have The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I actually have this one as an arc from NetGalley, so I'm really excited to get to it. It says it's a cottagecore fantasy. It follows a woman's unexpected journey through the low-stakes market of illegal spell selling and the high-risk business of starting over. It sounds like she's a librarian, and she has a sentient spider plant. That's amazing. After that, I have The Minuscule Mansion of Myra Malone by Audrey Burgess. I think this one has a little bit more of a contemporary setting with magical realism aspects to it. It says, in her attic, Myra Malone blogs about a dollhouse mansion that captivates thousands of readers worldwide. And I guess that the rooms of this mansion like change overnight, and she like doesn't have any control over it. And then there's a guy named Alex who he sees the blog, and one of the rooms that's in the mansion is his own room. So they start a correspondence. This one I have in person. It's Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. I think this one is about a girl who collects cups and I think it also has like pirates. It says, can Tress leave her simple life behind and make her own place sailing a sea where a single drop of water can mean instant death? So I don't know what that means, but I'm very intrigued by this book. After that, I have Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Poranek. I almost didn't add this one to the list because it just sounds like heavy, like high fantasy, but a lot of the reviews say that it gives Howl's Moving Castle vibes, and so for that alone, I'm adding it as a cozy fantasy. It says, a girl with dangerous magic makes a risky bargain with a demon to be free of her monstrous power. Next, I have a graphic novel. It's called Basil and Oregano. It says, mix 2 parts The Great British Bake Off with 1 part magical boarding school plus a generous dash of romance. And it has LGBTQ themes in it. After that, I have The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. I loved The Wishing Game by this author, and this one is inspired by The Chronicles of Narnia. That's honestly all I know about it. Some of the genre tags are magical realism, books about books, and LGBT. Next is another book that I own physically. This one is Between Mischief and Magic by Marissa Sorreo. I'm so obsessed with this cover. I found out about this on TikTok and ordered it through the author's TikTok shop. This one says, a drunken demon, a princess who lost her magic, and a deal to save them both. It says they encounter various fae, sip warm beverages, and devour delicious pastries. And it's a sapphic romance. After that, I have Cursed Cocktails by S.L. Rowland. The first line of the description says, when life gives you lemons, squeeze them into a stiff drink and stir. This one basically sounds like Legends and Lattes, but with cocktails. Next, I have The Bookshop and the Barbarian by Morgan Stang. Explore its many rooms, pick something nice off the shelf, and have a little read by the fire at the Cozy Quill Bookshop. That's all I need to know. The cover of this one is what got me. It's The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This one comes out November 5th, so later this year. It's about a wandering fortune teller and it has found family. Next, I have Floating Hotel by Grace Curtis. This one is actually cozy sci-fi fantasy. It's about a luxury spaceship hotel. Next is At the Coffee Shop of Curiosities by Heather Weber. A woman gets a mysterious letter that contains a job offer to be a live-in caretaker for a peculiar old man and his cranky cat. Next is The Enchanted Hacienda by J.C. Cervantes and Jennifer Cervantes. I hope that I'm saying their name right. It's about a woman who leaves her life in the city and returns home to a family farm in Mexico, and something about magic flowers. This one sounds so good. I'm really excited to read it. After that is Nightfall in the Garden of Deep Time by Tracy Higley. The description says, what if you stumbled into a timeless party in a secret garden only you could see? That's all I need to know. After that, I have Dreadful by Caitlin Rozakis. It says, a killer moat squid, toxic masculinity, evil wizards, a garlic festival, perfect for fans of T. Kingfisher, Travis Baldree. It sounds chaotic and I'm here for it. Speaking of Travis Baldree, I have Bookshops and Bone Dust, which is the prequel to Legends and Lattes. I own this one, I just can't find it on my shelves right now. This one automatically got added to my TBR the second that I found out about it because it's by Travis Baldree and it's also set in the same world as Legends and Lattes. After that is Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. I also added this one to my TBR because of the author. They wrote the book Garden Spells, which I gave 5 stars. I loved it. It takes place right off the coast of South Carolina. Old cobblestone building, turquoise birds, quirky and secretive neighbors. It also sounds like it's a cozy mystery because one of the neighbors turns up dead, and I think that the main character is going to get to the bottom of it. Alright, 2 more. This one is The Echo of Old Books by Barbara Davis. This one is historical fiction, magical realism, and it's a book about books. The main character, Ashlyn, is a rare book dealer. She can feel the echoes of the book's previous owners, an emotional fingerprint only she can read. And then my last book on this list is Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by Charlie Holmberg. This one is also historical fiction set in 1846. It's about a writer who inherits a remote estate. I think the house is kind of haunted and is almost kind of like sentient because it says when he goes to move in there, the house locks him in and won't let him leave. And I think there's a woman who is going to help him. Those are all the cozy fantasy books that are on my TBR. I tried to go through every book on my Goodreads. I'm sure that a few books fell through the cracks though, so I probably will eventually do like a part 2 to this video. Let me know if you've added any of these books to your TBR after watching this. Also, let me know in the comments if there are any books that I missed that I need to add to my TBR. Thank you so much for watching though, and I will see you in the next one.
Appalachian sunrise.